the 2023 Clear Fleapru National ORC Conference. I got the distinct pleasure of catching up with one of my buddies again here, Deputy Assistant Director Raul Aguilar with the Homeland Security Investigations. Raul, great seeing you, brother.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for coming out once again, presenting just an awesome presentation, talking about the things that matter most to the boots on the ground folks, the folks that are making things happen day after day as it relates to organized retail crime, property crimes, and some of the major issues that we're having out there as retailers trying to combat this problem that has grown astronomically over the last few years.
Yep.
Why is it so important for somebody in your position as a senior executive within Homeland Security to come out and spend time with the boots on the ground folks?
Just because we have the investigative authorities that make this happen. I talked about the 4 themes today. Looking at it from a different lens, how are we supporting these investigations? Who are we working with? Moving the needle a little bit, trying to make a difference. Using some quantifiable results from the last 2 years. I mean, the numbers are through the roof of the cases we've been supporting. And then the number one thing at the end is the 4th pillar that we talk about is the partnerships. It's critical that we all work together, that we look at it to maybe even get a little bit uncomfortable and share more than we can. And when in law enforcement, that could be a problem sometimes. And we're just trying to make a bigger impact. You know, we call it the coalition of the willing to do more.
Absolutely. And Homeland Security, I mean, you guys are not necessarily the oldest law enforcement agency in the country. And how big is this in your world, especially on the international front, seeing everything that's going on with these international groups, these players from all over the country coming into our country and executing on this? Because a lot of the time these folks, you know, may be in a high stress scenario where their families are being held captive, or their, whatever, their families are, being threatened, or whatever the case may be. I know that a lot of these groups are international groups, and some of this money is being funneled internationally.
So we're a cross-border agency, so we just look at it as international, transnational crime.
Right.
These are syndicates that operate with impunity sometimes, and if we have an authority that we can attach to this case, if there's a criminal evidence that we can put together, if we can partner up with an agency to bring that network down and put people in jail, seize their assets if they're creating criminal acts or they're involved in criminal activity, then that's what we're doing.
And your teams are integrally involved with a lot of these cases. We just closed down, I believe it was a $45 million case in Chicago. I mean, your teams are just in it with the guys, with the retailers, with the local law enforcement officers, helping shut down these groups, right?
Correct. So that case specifically was addressed by our office in Chicago. We worked day in and day out with those investigators, multi-states in coordination. And I think in the end, it's just making sure that they're sharing the information that they have that's allowed to be shared under the judicial process.
Yep.
And then if that case can be looked at from another lens, maybe it can a charge that maybe wasn't going to be there in the beginning, then it's tied to a bigger national takedown.
You may be able to glean additional information from that intelligence that's very useful to you and your teams and your mission at Homeland. So the Clear Conference, not your first year here. How important is it for senior leaders to come out and see what's going on here as far as the engagement with the solution providers and the networking opportunities?
Yeah, so I think probably the best place for us to really get our jobs done is when we meet other partners from other agencies. And this has opened up an opportunity for us to meet not only the private sector, but government agencies, police forces, sheriff's deputies, and solution providers that can be sitting on the cusp of some technology that we need to be paying attention to.
Right.
We already work with them in our larger initiatives against child exploitation, drugs, and money laundering. Why not utilize those relationships against ORC? And that's what we're trying to do with some lessons learned. So I think this is a great conference. It's an opportunity for us to come in and really exchange ideas and leave with some others.
And it's a huge opportunity. You know, somebody came up through the ranks, and some of these guys are still young. They're still boots on the ground investigators. I think it's a huge opportunity for them to meet leaders such as yourself, as well as from other organizations that can provide them and challenge them with information and knowledge to, really bolster a positive approach to the problem of ORC.
Yeah. So case agents join public servants because they want to give back, they want to be police officers, criminal analysts. this is no different than going after a drug charge or a drug case or trying to save a victim from child exploitation. If you can utilize any of the authorities and the resources that we have that could be tied to those typical crimes, then work the ORC case on the front end or the back end is what I tell folks. So the case agents love doing it. It's why we joined as public servants. We're here to do our jobs.
Absolutely. Raul, thank you so much once again for coming out, taking time away from your important mission, coming down to visit with us, presenting to the group. It really means a lot to us year over year when you come out and meet with people, and it's so great to see and refreshing to see you engaging with folks at every level of the organizations, whether it's law enforcement or retail. So I really appreciate you coming out and spending time with us.
Absolutely, John. It's going to take a coalition of the willing, partnerships across the board, and love to do it. Thank you for the invitation.
Thanks for coming out once again. All right, everybody, JC coming at you live, 2023 Clear Fleet-Proof National RC Conference down here in Orlando, Florida. Stay tuned for more great content. We got more interviews coming your way.